We're live.
Oh, shall we start then?
Go on then.
All right. Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Dan. Chris.
Lee. I've always wanted to say, and we're live on something that went live.
So this one's actually going out live on YouTube as well as, obviously if you're listening to this through your podcatcher app, you've missed the live stream.
Yes, of course. That's kind of obvious.
If you're listening to it, you're not watching. Can we start again?
And if you think the podcast's live, I'm sorry about that, and Father Christmas not being real.
Spoiler alert.
Although with that beard, you are heading very close.
Hey, just got to fulfill my birthright.
Just gotta feed your dad a few more mince pies, haven't you? Around about Christmas time.
Arthur thinks he's Father Christmas already.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've got to be honest, since I first met your dad, I always thought it was.
My dad's Father Christmas.
Right, thank you. Thank you for confirming that. That's like finding out last week that Grado's a really nice guy. In real life.
Anyway,
Formula
One, people.
Moving swiftly on, Formula One. Firstly, an apology for last week's podcast being a little bit late. Real life got in the way for all of us.
It did.
Thank you to Susie for stepping in at such short notice.
I'm surprised I've still got a job.
Well, you're here.
Apparently she had coherent arguments, and that means she was unsuitable to fill my shoes.
Yes. Yeah. Well-constructed arguments that made sense.
Did she say cunt at all?
Are we 30 seconds in?
No.
Maybe.
She was less sweary than you. I will definitely give her that.
Yeah, but
Just.
Oh, right, that's
just.
Okay. She was Scottish. So
I don't know. With some of the swearing, it could have been scatty. But no, thank you, Susie, for helping us out last week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm sure she'll be on the show again at some point soon.
I do hope so.
Because you've been trying to get her on the show for ages, and she finally comes on one of the nights that you can't make
I'm
it.
not here. Yeah, great.
Leeds replacement.
Good move, Lee.
So anyway, F1 Mexican Grand Prix this weekend.
It is. I keep thinking it's a US Grand Prix because they swap them round, which is confusing.
Yeah, because the last 2 years they were in the other order. And of course, this was going to be the last Mexican Grand Prix for the foreseeable, but now it's not.
No.
Well, hey, it's never a good race, but it always looks like a fantastic event.
Yeah.
Mexico is one of those ones I just couldn't give a fuck about.
I don't know.
I'd love to be sat in that baseball stadium.
Having the barbecue area in the baseball stadium, all right, it does look
But
confusing.
I probably never will be. So,
Well,
let's see how next year's Kickstarter goes.
I'm much more into the idea of going to like Texas or Miami than I would be of going there.
we didn't get to say about what we thought about the Miami race last week.
I'm fucking all in, and as soon as it starts, that will.
Do you not think it looks a bit like Sochi, but a bit?
It's in Miami,
But American,
and Florida's ace. That's why I want to
Guess
go.
where you want to retire to?
Yeah, Texas has got like Tex-Mex food.
Oh, yeah, it's got big.
Mexico's
bits,
got actual Mex-Mex food.
Yes.
Over there, they call it food.
Yeah.
And
Miami,
cocaine.
everywhere in the world has cocaine.
Yeah.
I've been to Florida and ate a lot of chili dogs.
And steroids. That's also Mex food.
Didn't eat a lot of steroids when I was in Mexico. In Miami. Never been to Mexico. But, yeah, I don't know about the Miami race, because it's going to be another of these Tilkerized street circuits round a stadium.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Looked
Isn't it
very Sochi-like.
It's good, yeah, street circuit. But Sochi's
kind of street circuit.
yeah,
but with
if it ends up being more like Baku, that'd be good.
That'd be good, but did Tilke do Baku?
I don't know.
I think so.
is Baku actually designed? I thought it was just...
It's just streets, isn't it? Whereas Sochi is like it was a park that they made into a race circuit.
Yeah.
Sochi was kind of designed with a race circuit in mind when they were building the Olympic Village, because everything there was built for the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
So they wrote the plans for getting an F1 circuit into the plans for Olympic Park. Whereas Miami, there's been a stadium there for 40 years.
Mm.
It looks more viable than the crossing the massive long bridge to the port and back again.
Oh, that was a disaster waiting to happen. One car breaks down on the bridge.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they had something similar like that in Valencia, didn't they?
They had a bridge.
They had a bridge.
Well, they got a bridge
Yeah.
in Singapore as well,
Yeah,
but I mean,
that's
it's not like the be all and end all.
But the original plan was the two long straights that were the bridge.
Yeah.
And that was just going to be a mess.
Oh, yeah, it would have been. But as far as like, IndyCar seems to do well with sort of US-based street circuits. I hope that whoever designed... Is it Tilke that's definitely designing it?
Well, he does all the latest F1 circuits, doesn't he?
It does kind of look like a Tilkedrome from the pictures.
Did he
that
do
I've seen.
Texas? Was it Tilke that did Texas?
Yeah,
I know he took best parts of...
Yeah.
Yeah, because
different circuits.
Circuit of the Americas is like Tilke's greatest hits.
Which
Right.
I like. I like the Circuit of the Americas a lot.
I think we're all in agreement on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's for next week's show.
It is. But before that, we got Mexican Grand Prix with no Peraltada again because they're going through the baseball stadium, which looks amazing.
It looks cool, and the atmosphere in there seems to be fantastic when you're watching it on TV.
But have we had a good Mexican Grand Prix since its return in 2015?
Is it that long?
2015?
Is it
15, 16, 17, 18?
I don't think we've
19?
had a good... We haven't had a good race there.
Was it 4 or 5 years it's been going? I can't remember.
It's been going as long as we've been doing this podcast, anyway.
Anyway.
And we're in our 5th season.
Yes.
Just realised that we've got the camera going and I had to adjust my nuts then. I need to think about things like that more now.
Yeah, you do.
It's all right. I've got a feather up my nose somehow, and I'm
I'm
trying
so
to be
happy you said nose because that's not where I started.
No.
I don't want to know. You keep your feathers. It's kind of disturbing knowing that there's people watching as well. We're doing this. Well,
There's always people watching you. It's just whether or not you know about it.
why do you think my laptop's closed? And
For the same reason I put a plaster over my webcam, just in case.
Yeah.
that click was me turning my phone face down and then putting something over the cameras.
All
on the
right,
back.
Snowden. Let's get back to Formula One.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll look at the race in a bit more depth and do the predictions later. But
Yeah.
is there any news about it at the minute?
Not a great deal, is there?
No, Max Verstappen has said that he doesn't expect Red Bull to win any races for the remainder of the season, which means they're probably going to win at least 2.
Yeah, do you think is he doing the usual downplaying the chances?
Well, I honestly think Red Bull are going to be strong in Brazil and probably in Mexico as well.
Mexico's always a weird one, isn't it? 'Cause
High
of the
altitude.
Altitude, yeah.
Yeah. It starves the engines of oxygen, doesn't it? And the race isn't usually as... It doesn't play out quite like you think it's going to, but we still never had like a really exciting Mexican Grand Prix. I don't know why that is, but the Red Bull tends to lean itself well towards the low drag, high aero, I guess.
Well, you've got a massive straight, haven't you?
Yeah, but they put quite a lot of aero on it, don't they? Because it's
Yeah.
a high altitude to get a bit of downforce in.
DRS is an absolute slam dunk, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, the problem is with the air being thinner, you need to ramp up the wing angle just to push the car down through
Yeah.
less oxygen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be interesting because you would think it's a Ferrari track the way Ferrari have been going.
A long straight, but apart from that, there's not really much else.
You
Is it
think
me, or have we just started previewing this race after we started talking about
Yeah.
it?
Probably, yeah.
All right, okay.
You've got that long, you've got the main straight, obviously start finish.
Yeah, yeah.
But from that S that takes you around like the back before you get into the complex,
It's all
that's
turns.
but as soon as you get past the turns, you've got that big sweeping corner that goes in,
Yeah.
and it's all flat around the rest of it too.
Mercedes land that is for me. All turning, twisty bits.
Maybe,
But-
maybe.
Yeah, I expect Red Bull to be strong in Mexico and also in Brazil as well because of the twisty nature of the circuit. Essentially, Brazil is again very sort of twisty, windy from like turn 3 or turn 4 all the way to turn 1.
Yeah, but then you got the S's straight. Well, the S's are turn 1 basically, aren't
Yeah,
they?
so the SNRS turn 1, turn 2, turn
You get
3.
a bit of a straight, long corner, and then you're into never holding the steering wheel in a straight line.
Yeah, which I
So
think
if you're a Ferrari, you have to do. You can do it one-handed and hold a mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did we think of that? The whole Leclerc being because some people I saw saying, including Virtual Statman, saying that Formula One cars must be too easy to drive if Charles Leclerc can hold onto his mirror and turn into 130R.
Sean came up with a theory that he wasn't trying to hold on to his mirror. It was loose, and he was trying to actually wrench it off.
No, he was stopping them because it was vibrating like fuck, wasn't it? He was holding that so it didn't vibrate and fall off. Is what he was doing.
And it did anyway.
Yeah.
I think didn't it come? It came off in the pits. So I think they actually
Snapped it
I think
off.
one of the mechanics actually snapped it off.
Yeah.
There was a bit of debate about that. Actually, we didn't talk about this last week, but few people were saying surely Leclerc and Hamilton's cars were illegal because they were driving with only one mirror after the first lap.
You don't have to have any mirrors, do you?
Mirrors are an essential safety part of the car,
Start the race with.
but that's the thing.
Yeah.
They are only mandatory for the start of the race. If they come off, it's racing damage.
Yeah.
And this is why they didn't. Neither of those drivers got penalised for.
No, Leclerc did.
No, neither of the drivers got penalised for having one less mirror.
Oh, I see.
Than they started with.
For my money as well, Ferrari should have been immediately told to bring Leclerc in, and
Well, he got penalised for that in the end.
no, but I don't think he got a harsh enough penalty for it. Not when you look at what happened to Felipe Massa. I thought it was fucking ridiculous. I can't see that wouldn't have been a harder penalty for somebody else. You need to turn that off.
What are you
mate.
doing?
I was looking for. There's a rundown of what actually happened with the whole Leclerc thing.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to find that. I didn't realise I'd got the YouTube channel.
But yeah,
open.
I'm with Julian Palmer on it. It should have been a harsher penalty.
I think it should have been a harsher penalty, but
should have been at least a drive through in the race or a stop go.
yeah. I'm interested to see what you think about the Vettel start as well, which we didn't talk about and we haven't had the listeners
To me, that was a jump start.
Yeah,
I
the
know
sensor didn't go off, but even still, he must have been so far back on his grid spot.
Yeah. So,
But again, I'd just like to point out another Vettel mistake, another one.
At least he owned up to this one.
Yeah, but and it wasn't him going backwards at a pivotal moment. Well, it kind of was, but
it is totally
not
Vettel
facing
under
backwards.
pressure. Vettel under pressure and wanting to get off the line well, and messing it up.
Yeah, well, Vettel under pressure in any situation at the moment appears to just with the exception of his race win, it makes mistakes.
The only good thing he's got is we'll have to see if this carries on into Mexico. Is that he does seem to now have the race pace on Leclerc again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to keep an eye on.
Because I'm still a firm believer that Sebastian Vettel is a better Formula One driver than Charles Leclerc. It's because we haven't seen Sebastian Vettel for such a long time. That's why I still think it's too early to declare Charles Leclerc the Lord of all, because he's up against
He's still
a
learning.
broken Vettel.
Yeah, and he's still learning as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think Dan's quite apt when you liken him to a early season Hamilton.
Yeah.
And that Hamilton had the raw pace, but he just needed to do what Max Verstappen has done and just sort of round off those edges a little bit and become a bit more of a complete driver.
But with the Leclerc-Hamilton comparison, it's not just the pace, it's
The moodiness.
the way they act and the way they praise the team while fighting against them almost.
Yeah.
And there's lots of parallels there.
Yeah. Yeah, but if he becomes a great champion, then fair play to him. But he's got to do it.
I
on
don't
track
think
first.
Charles Leclerc will be a world champion.
I think he will be.
I think you will be.
Only because, and this is
Unless he stays at Ferrari for life and Ferrari just Ferrari everything.
he could Ferrari could Ferrari everything, but I don't believe he's better than the drivers that he'll be fighting against for world championships, unless Ferrari can get that sorted really quickly.
I think it's too early to tell.
If he can slam a world championship in, where if Red Bull aren't still not fighting for world championships, and Lewis Hamilton, let's say, because we haven't seen Lewis properly this year, and there's a little bit of me wondering whether, with his age, is this the beginning of the plateau we see with drivers? When they get to a certain age.
All right,
and
Nico
then they
Rosberg.
just dip a little bit. No, I'm not saying career over. But do you know what I mean? I wonder whether we're seeing the sort of the beginning of this is the end of Hamilton's talent sort of thing. This is as big and as fast as he can get.
This is his Villeneuve at BAR days.
Yes.
But what we haven't really seen for Hamilton this
needing
year,
to brace. Yeah. Well,
he's always
I don't
had
know.
another gear that he can find when he needs to, and
this is the
He hasn't needed to this year.
Usually on a Saturday lunchtime.
Yeah, but this is the Leclerc Championship for me. I think if he can get, if he's in a situation where Red Bull aren't fighting, because I think Max Verstappen is like the world and the moon better than Charles Leclerc, and Lewis Hamilton has like a squiff year. I think Charles Leclerc's better than Valtteri Bottas. I think he can win a world championship in that situation. But I think if you've got a on-form Lewis Hamilton, a on-form Max Verstappen that's capable of winning a world championship, it's for shits and giggles, let's stick a Carlos Sainz in a McLaren that's all of a sudden in 2021 capable of winning the championship. I don't think Charles Leclerc beats any of those.
I don't think it's impossible for Leclerc to win the. Yeah, don't think it's impossible for him to win next year.
Oh, that's what I mean. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's going to be almost like a Jolyon Palmer situation when he won the F2.
Yeah.
He won the F2 World Championship when all the other guys had already won it and gone. I think it's going to, whereas Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen, I think, can win a championship against anybody, I think Charles Leclerc will be dictated against who he's fighting with.
The caliber of driver around him, you mean? It could be interesting because, as you say, there's a lot of younger drivers coming up through the field.
Jacques Villeneuve, actually. Jacques Villeneuve's a good example there, because he was fighting a Schumacher in not the best Ferrari at that point. You know, it's whereas if Schumacher would have been in a Ferrari that was equal to the Williams that Jacques Villeneuve was in, Jacques Villeneuve would have never been a world champion.
Yeah.
If Schumacher had managed to take the other car
I think he'd have still got disqualified. I don't think he'd have got that one. I think someone would have gone, come on, lads. Come on now.
Yeah.
We need to have a chat about this driving into the side of people, Michael. It's becoming all too regular.
He only ever does it at the last race of the season when there's a championship at stake against a Williams.
To be honest, we haven't had a final race world championship since was it
Vettel Alonso was
2016 was technically a final race world championship.
that was the last
That was
one,
technically
wasn't
a final race, but it wasn't a race because Lewis Hamilton wanted everybody else to race Rosberg, so he backed everybody else.
No, wasn't there? There was the Brazil as well, wasn't it? Where Vettel spun the car.
it? That was 2012.
Yeah, that was the last race showdown. That was the one where Alonso broke in the pit lane.
Double points Abu Dhabi was kind of negated by the fact it was double points Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. What a fucking ridiculous thing.
Yeah. But is the championship going to get wrapped up in Mexico? Does Hamilton need to outscore Bottas by 9 points? I think it is.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Texas, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I hope, actually. I
I
think.
can't remember what the difference is now, but I think he has to outscore him by. I think it's like 12 points or something. He has to outscore Bottas by.
My laptop's running out of juice and there's no spare plug socket, so I'll have to look it up on my phone.
But if Bottas has a poor race and Hamilton does a Hamilton and classic Hamilton and decanters off into the distance and wins by the slowest margin possible, then the championship might be decided for the third year in a row in Mexico.
Yeah.
Because we've never had exciting races, but it's quite interesting when you had the top three there last year, and then ninth, 8th place, something like that. Hamilton's came in and did donuts because he just won a world championship.
For Formula One, and especially with the talk of the Miami Grand Prix, I would like them to wrap it up in Austin. I think it would be a good
think
PR story for Formula One in general in the States.
I've seen,
and with Lewis being basically American and all now.
I've seen Miami being touted as being before Canada but after Monaco. Either late May or early June.
It would kind of make sense having it close to the Canadian race. At least they're on the same continent.
They are literally the world away from each other, though.
Yeah,
When you say close,
that's the only thing. Just trying to do some work.
we had one of our listeners tell us off for saying that Austin and Miami were close to each other.
Yeah.
Well, in the scale of the
Canada and
world,
Austin would make sense-ish.
in the scale of the world, Miami and Austin are fairly close together. It's only a 3-hour flight, something like that, 4-hour flight.
That's practically a ferry journey over here.
We'd be about, I don't want to even think about how long that would take by boat.
No, it's probably not worth. Well, it'd be a long time because
the desert would get the sound of getting the propeller.
The last time people got boats that far, they were calling it the New World when they landed.
Right, Hamilton at the moment is 64 points ahead.
Yeah.
So we need to be 75?
78 if you include
include the
78
fastest
if you
laps.
include fastest laps.
Oh, got you.
So if he beats Bottas by 14 points.
So it's not likely to be wrapped up here.
No, it's more likely to be Austin, as we were saying.
Yeah.
And Bottas might do a Bottas and go and win the race.
Could do.
Yeah, I mean, even if he was to win the race and Hamilton was finished second in both of them, Hamilton still wins the championship in Austin, doesn't he?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he'd have to be 50 points clear leaving Austin, and that's like he'd have to have a disaster.
If it's the beard that's made him competitive, he's going to have to come out looking like fucking Teen Wolf to win this championship.
Lance Stroll.
No, he's 1980s Hulk.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. I saw something very strange on Twitter yesterday.
That's not uncommon.
No, it was Eric Banner wearing an Aussie Grit apparel hat. And I was like, wait a second. Many times I thought that Eric Banner and Mark Webber could be the same person.
Who's Eric Banner?
The actor.
Don't know him.
Yeah, you will know him.
He was the Hulk in the bad one.
Yeah, in the bad film. That's why I got the reference.
Yeah, he was Hulk in the Hulk movie that nobody talks about and isn't part of the
He's an
Marvel
actor
universe.
who does racing driving occasionally.
Edward Norton.
All right, he was the Hulk in the first Hulk movie that nobody talks about.
He's an actor who does racing occasionally.
Patrick Dempsey.
No. You know where I'm going with that. But but he's not Patrick Duffy.
Wasn't he the man from Atlantis?
But Mark Webber looks an awful lot like Eric Banner, or vice versa. And so the fact that they're both Australian.
If only
Both
Lee
race
had an
cars.
internet-connected device in front of him to look up who this person is.
Everything's working and I'm not touching anything.
That's a good move because that's how things went wrong the last time we tried to live stream these shows. Yeah, everyone may notice my laptop in front of me is very close.
Technology is
It
all of
wasn't a
sudden
few
made-
minutes ago.
No, yeah, I can edit that out.
Technology has already made like live streaming easy as all fuck, and I'm not going to mess with it.
But going back to the thing about Max thinking that Red Bull aren't going to win again this season.
Yeah, we were talking about that, weren't we?
Yeah,
at some point?
it's a very un-Red Bull thing to say because I thought they were going to be sort of we're Red Bull, we're here to take it to the extreme.
Max has been quietly down on Red Bull lately, if you've noticed in interviews.
I think realistically, the last couple of races they've not been there.
No, but even like for the future, wasn't it something with 2020 where he was saying he finds it very hard to believe that they're going to be able to fight for championships next year and stuff like that.
Yeah, whereas Honda themselves are saying we're expecting to be almost on par with Ferrari and Mercedes next year.
And I don't take Max Verstappen saying that the same as I would take Christian Horner or doing it, as like gamesmanship. I look at Max Verstappen as saying that because he, as far as I'm concerned, is like if he's had the sniff of a championship winning car that he was able to get to, he would be out of Red Bull. There's no loyalty there.
Look at what happened in the Brazilian Grand Prix a few years ago. It was that was one of the most memorable. It's probably the most memorable drive of this century. Yeah, the one where Grosjean put it in the wall and didn't blame Ericsson. I get the feeling that if like you say, Lee, like a sniff of victory, Verstappen's on it.
Yeah.
Look how he hunted down Charles Leclerc in Austria, forced him into a mistake, into some very hard racing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Verstappen is like a great white shark. If he smells blood, he goes for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, while we're on the subject of Red Bull, another young driver on the scrap heap. Kind of.
After how many months?
It's about 3/4 of an hour.
After 45 minutes, Patricio O'Ward
Which is about as long as he lasted in the Indy 500.
Yeah,
I think
but-
that might have been his first Red Bull race.
I mean,
So
you
as long
think-
as it takes you to say his name, it's probably about the amount of time that he's been in the Red Bull program.
And what was it? Was it Spa? Was it Spa or Hungary? I think it was Spa, wasn't it? Where he was at the race. He was at the race after signing for part of the Red Bull program. And the way people were talking about him was he was nailed in for Toro Rosso next year.
Well, can I just point out who the last person to be let go from the Red Bull Junior Driver Program was?
Before Patricio Award.
Who?
Alex Albon.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Well made, Dan.
Yeah, Alex Albon. Yeah, you don't need to be...
Sackings don't mean what they used to.
No.
No.
Sometimes they can mean quite the opposite, it turns out.
Let's just have a look at some of the recent Red Bull Team F1 drivers. Danny Kvyat.
Brendan Hartley.
Brendan Experience Hartley. All binned off the programme.
Yeah.
Well, we should get Brendan Hartley on the show to talk to us about his experience of being fired and
Well,
how it prepares him better for the next time he gets fired.
I don't think he does podcasts. He's never done one before. He's not got the experience.
Oh.
But Patricio Award has been let go. Now, he put a statement out at the time gushingly thanking Helmut Marko for the opportunity
Yeah.
of racing in Super Formula.
And wishing
And
Yuri Vips
and
good
one
luck.
F2 race. So they've replaced him with Yuri Vips, but apparently he was due to leave the programme in November.
After that would have only been 6 months.
Yeah, at the end of the Super Formula season. And they've let him go early because he's got opportunities in IndyCar next year, which, rumour has it, is the Schmidt-Peterson. Are we allowed to do that one?
No.
McChevy?
It's just McLaren.
McIndy?
It's McLaren.
McLaren.
Arrow McLaren Schmidt-Peterson Racing.
It's McLaren.
The orange Indy cars.
Should we vote here? Should we cast a vote right now?
McLaren IndyCar. That's what we call it.
Yeah.
McIndy.
McIndy.
Fucking hell. What do we do now?
You got the casting vote.
If anyone that's doing messages,
Right, hang on,
check it at the end.
hang on. We can do this live. Twitter poll.
Twitter poll,
Twitter
okay.
poll. Right. What should...
It's not a fucking burger.
What?
It's a McLaren IndyCar. McIndy sounds like a shit burger you get from McDonald's.
It does sound like a shit burger. I just go McLaren. McLaren. We don't need to be funny. It's not like Batfleck or Batterson.
Patterson was a good one. Can I admit now, it took me 20 seconds to work out who you were talking about
Yeah.
when you said it. I was like, Patterson. Robert Patterson. Got it.
Right, I'm doing a Twitter poll. Keep talking.
So, who else have we got as far as Red Bull drivers that have been dropped? That have
All of
come
them.
back. That have done good. Like John Eric Verne screams to me. Someone that was dropped that probably shouldn't have been dropped.
This is like almost every other podcast we discuss. Like,
it's because they've like.
There's just so many to talk
Yeah,
about.
there is.
Is Yuri Vips likely to be in Formula One next year alongside Danny Kvyat?
No, he's going to be somewhere in F2. I don't think they'll keep him in F3 because he's done that. Finished, what was it, third off? I think he finished fourth behind Schwartzman, Daruvla, and the
Kevin Schwartzman, 1993 MotoGP World Champion.
You're thinking of Kevin Schwantz.
I am.
You are. Robert Schwartzman, Jan Daruvla, and I can't remember the other guy in the team, but I think he's a Kiwi. But he was the first one that wasn't in an ART,
Right.
in the championship. So I can see him going to F2 next year, which putting him in a Super Formula car is probably the best bet because it gives him a chance on comparable to F2 machinery.
Yeah.
They will keep him in reserve for the next bout of clearing house in Toro Rosso. Probably when they get rid of Gasly, middle of next season.
Well, Gasly.
Gasly's a good Toro Rosso driver.
Yeah.
I still don't think they'll keep him next year. Because I don't, unless they see a situation inside the team where they think they'll promote him again. I don't see them having it because it's a dead year then for Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso's job.
No, I don't think it is.
No, but Toro Rosso's job is to make Red Bull drivers, and if they don't believe that he's going to be a Red Bull driver again, Danny Kvyat is never going to get himself in a Red Bull again.
No.
So it's a dead year for Toro Rosso.
Still got more podiums than Alex Albon so far.
Oh no, absolutely. But I'm just saying I can't see them doing that.
I know what you mean, but I think it's between Albon and Gasly for the Red Bull seat. Clearly Albon at the moment.
If Albon will have to.
Albon
will
can't
have to
throw that away.
Fuck it.
Yeah,
he will
yeah.
really have to fuck it.
Albon would have to drive into the back of Verstappen in every race for the rest of the season.
No,
not to
he
be in the
wouldn't
Red
even
Bull
have
next
to do
year.
that. He would have to get caught with Helmut Marko's granddaughter in the back of the garage for him to not have that seat next year.
Depends which side of the garage he was stood on, where Helmut Marko could or couldn't see him.
And who caught him with Helmut Marko's granddaughter?
Not knowing the age of Helmut Marko's granddaughter, I'm not getting involved in this.
Me neither. You saw nothing.
I'm close where I can get the whole hand over it.
All you did there was show me just how wide the wide angle is of this. You did nothing.
It's a good wide angle lens.
We're going to have to all do
Which the podcast listeners can hear.
yeah, we're all going to have to do next week's show wearing Brendan Hartley masks. Can you get them?
I wouldn't have thought so.
Well, what's with those giant heads that keep turning up at Formula One races of various
Mainly
drivers?
Japan.
David Coulthard.
No. Excellent. I like that. Very good. No, but you seen like the giant papier-mâché Lando Norris?
Yeah.
I've seen a Romain Grosjean and a George Russell. George
Yeah.
Russell doesn't look anything like George Russell. It's quite funny.
Which is really weird because as much as I like George, he is the most plastic-looking Formula One driver that Formula One has ever seen. Almost like android-like.
Formula One action figure.
Yeah. It's like when they skin one of the robots or something.
Oh, the chance of getting George back on the show have just diminished greatly.
No, his family is allowed to say shit like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's all right, but once they patch him, though, he'll forget everything he's remembered.
So, yeah, what have Red Bull got left in the young driver program now? Because I think it's
Vips.
It's next to nothing. I mean, at this rate, they'll probably re-sign Nico Kari for about the 8th time, and then all of a sudden we'll pair him up with Dan Ticktum, who's...
Oh, where's he gone? He got let go, didn't he?
Yeah, he's been sat on the naughty step thinking about what he's done for the last 6 months.
There's hope for Santino Ferrucci yet.
There is.
I think he's actually signed to Andretti Racing for next year. He's going to be teammates with Ericsson.
Go Ericsson.
I'll leave you with that thought. I can't remember what I was going to say. We've got no running order tonight. This one's completely freeform show.
Completely unscripted. Have we got any other news?
I don't think there is.
I don't think there's a great deal. It'd be interesting just to go back and talk about everyone's thoughts on the rest of the Japanese Grand Prix, because I mean last week it was me, Dan, Sean, and Susie, and Lee. I know you did your hot lap, but not really sort of heard what Chris had to say about it. And
I think it was a great race.
sort of discuss it amongst the four of us.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good race. I was like, it was an odd one though, because it was so obvious that the race had been won very early on.
I think Mercedes threw away a 1-2 for a 1-3.
Yeah, that's what kind of.
Even if they'd left Hamilton out and Bottas caught him, they
Mercedes-
could have let
Mercedes-
Bottas pass.
Yeah.
I've not actually seen it yet, but Mercedes put a video out Tuesday or Wednesday after the race.
Yeah, I know.
With Shove explaining why they made that second pit stop for Hamilton.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. I've got a theory on why they did it. Is because they've already asked Bottas to move over once for Hamilton when he was essentially still in the title fight, which must have hurt because it was Russia, wasn't it?
Russia last year.
That was last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's had his second wind, which seems to have fizzled out. They've signed him up for next year.
Give him a win.
There's no benefit to Mercedes to destroy Valtteri Bottas before next year. And I think if they'd have brought Hamilton in, left Hamilton out, and I think Hamilton would have probably beaten Bottas if they'd have left him out.
I don't know if he would have beaten him because he was a lot slower on those worn tyres. But I mean, even if they'd let him stay out, Bottas did catch him, and let him pass. I still think Vettel would have struggled to pass Hamilton.
Yeah,
I reckon you're right about giving Bottas confidence, but on top of that, Hamilton's tyres were probably going to be marginal at the end, and he probably could have won.
Yeah.
But why take the risk when he's going to win the championship anyway?
Let's not forget, though, that if they'd have done that early
it's playing
early
it safe,
doors,
isn't it? It is playing it safe.
It's an end of the season call.
But nobody on the grid now, crazily enough, when you consider what it used to be like, no one on the grid now is better than Lewis at looking after his tyres and dragging a stint out when he's got to and keeping pace with it. I think he'd have had a different stint if he knew that was him to the end and him for a win.
I also think as well, Mercedes may have done some quick maths in the garage and been like, you know what? Even with a 1-3, we win. We win with a safe 1-3. We win the championship, and our two drivers lock out the drivers' championship as well. And we can do that today if we pit Hamilton in the next couple of laps.
I tell you what,
like, well, you know what? Yeah. Let's make Lewis angry for half a day.
Go for the guaranteed result rather than.
It's just as well, though. It's just as well they didn't do it, because if they'd left Lewis out and Bottas had overtaken him to win the race, I think he'd have had to banzai Lewis, and I think it would have been on the last lap. And can you imagine if that one lap count back had been for a race win?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The conspiracy theorists would have had a field day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He'd already bought a field.
Yeah. But I really do. I think it's a shame as far as, because we know the championships are won. We're watching races now, waiting to get the.
Well, Japan used to be the last race, or almost the last race where championships were won.
But we're watching Formula One races now for good races, aren't we?
Yeah.
And I think Mercedes robbed the fans of a nail-biting climax to that race.
Yeah, I think so too. But they sealed both championships.
Oh,
I think
they
they
stole
robbed the
50
fans.
quid off me because I had money on Lewis.
I think they robbed the fans of a nail-biting finish to that race. But once the championship's wrapped up,
Yeah.
the drivers don't have to worry about being as careful. So you might get even better racing after that.
Maybe. Yeah, you're right. Maybe. But I don't know. It just seemed... I'm not down with a team which will sacrifice a 1-2.
For a 1-3.
Where a team that is used to winning and knows it wins so much, it'll throw away a 1-2.
Yeah.
But they've done it in the past in order to get the championships, both drivers and constructors.
Yeah,
they've stopped focusing on winning the race.
They weren't being bothered. Neither of them were being bothered. It was going to be like it was going to be either Lewis or Valtteri that won that race. Vettel was miles away. They were under no pressure from Vettel until they pitted Hamilton. So it just didn't seem like racing in my eyes what they did.
Yeah, Vettel probably would have burned his tyres out trying to chase Hamilton had they left Hamilton out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean...
Decent race from Vettel as well.
Yeah. Can we talk anniversaries? Because there's a couple of decent anniversaries this week. Jenson Button's championship.
I was going to say, it would have been my wedding anniversary last Monday, but...
You're divorced.
Officially now.
Yes.
As of last Monday.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And last July as well. That got complicated.
So, sounds like a patron podcast, that.
It does.
Did I talk about that last week? I can't remember. It's nearly a week ago.
I think you mentioned it.
Oh, right, okay.
He didn't shut up about it, did he?
Sorry.
I think it got mentioned in passing.
Well, Flood was just going to talk about the single greatest achievement in sports history.
Well, two of them, two anniversaries this
No,
week.
you were talking about the single greatest one first.
Well, Jenson Button's wonderful drive at Brazil.
Yeah.
From, what was it, 18th
That's
on
the
the
one.
grid to finish 5th?
I think so.
Something like that. He was well down,
It
wasn't
was
he?
a
He did
fantastic race, that one, if I
It
remember
was,
right.
yeah,
Mark
yeah.
Webber won.
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
There was a fight with a French driver.
I don't remember that.
I can't remember. Nope.
Yeah, it was well worth watching that race.
2009 Brazilian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Button, it was a champion's drive to seal the championship.
Did Webber win it? I thought Button overtook Webber, because I thought it was at Webber he was overtaken when he nearly lost the back end.
Going around turn 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was a Toro Rosso, I think.
You sure? I thought it was
sure.
Webber.
Not entirely sure. But
Yeah, I think it's Webber.
he overtook a car, did almost lose the back end, and then
Could have been the championship. That
Could have been.
Because that would have put Vettel back in the hunt, wouldn't it, for the last race?
For the
I
last
think?
race, yeah.
I'm going to have to rewatch the highlights if F1 TV is working this week over here without using a VPN.
Probably isn't. But the the other anniversary, the strangest championship win of all time. Well, in my lifetime, Kimi Räikkönen's. 17 points behind with 20 on the table, with 2 races to go, and still won the championship.
Yes. yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
Against
think
the McLaren
you
team
have to
that
be
hated
in-
themselves.
You have to have the mindset of not actually caring if you win the championship to be able to do that.
Yeah, it was.
You could have stopped
China
after
was-
not actually caring. We are talking about Kimi
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, China was the penultimate race. If you remember, Hamilton beached it when he wore his tyres down to the canvas.
Yeah.
And Ron Dennis went absolutely mental at him. Alonso, I don't really remember what happened to Alonso in the second to last race, but the McLaren infighting handed Ferrari a world championship, and they both Alonso and Hamilton finished equal on points, 1 point behind Kimi Räikkönen. And Räikkönen was always going to win a world championship at some point, but I never thought it would be in that way. He almost won it at McLaren, didn't he, a couple of times, and then Alonso was the driver who eventually usurped Schumacher.
Yeah.
And then Kimi goes to Ferrari and then all of a sudden wins a world championship in his first year
Yeah,
at the
it's
team.
crazy.
It was a really, really crazy year of Formula One. But
Again, I can't recommend
12 years ago this week.
I can't recommend enough to anybody that has any interest in that Alonso Hamilton phase of McLaren to read The Mechanic.
Yeah.
It's a
Fantastic book.
amazing
read
book.
Mark Priestley's book.
Yeah,
it is incredible.
Yeah.
Talking to Mark Priestley.
We should try and get him on the show.
I was going to say we're going to have to try and get him on the show at some
He
point.
does do podcasts with people.
Yeah.
And he's got another book coming out.
And for anybody...
And he's more experienced at podcasts than Brendan Hartley. Then
Well, you can't
Yeah,
be
we'd have to
because-
do a really, really long one for Brendan Hartley to have any experience.
I was going to say, he can't be more experienced than Brendan Hartley. Brendan Hartley is the most experienced man at life.
that is true.
Because of his life experience, he knows how to live.
But yeah, if anyone sort of got any contact with Mark Priestley, get him to get in touch. We have tweeted him.
Or anyone who you
Repeatedly.
think might make a good guest on the show, just get in touch with us.
We need to do more guests.
Yeah, we do. Bother people for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got lots of listeners, and our lots of listeners must know a few people connected with F1.
Yes.
Why aren't any of you related to Damon Hill?
I'm related to George Russell. It can't be that hard to be related to a Formula One person.
And George Russell got on the show.
He did.
Lando Norris has been on the show.
Yep.
Jenny Gow has been on the show.
Yes.
Technically, Lewis Valtteri and Toto
We
have been
did
on the
all
show.
that. We did all that. Our
Yeah.
listeners are doing nothing for us.
Toto Wolff has been on the show. Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Completely one-sided, this relationship.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mercedes.
Although we do have to thank the listeners that have sent us biscuits in the past or money to buy biscuits.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
a stone of peanut M&Ms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Absolutely. Peanut M&Ms that took a long time to eat.
Yes.
I've still got 3 bags left. I don't even know if they're still in date. They took that long to eat.
That shit doesn't go off.
And of course, the first person to send a gift was somebody who sent a copy of F1 2016.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And all our wonderful patrons.
Yep.
Plug. If you want to know more about what we do with Patreon, go to patreon.com/3legs4wheels. You can sign up there, donate, get an extra shirt. And there was a lot of Batman in this week's.
We had Bat
There was
Corner.
a lot of Batman. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where
That cave, you could almost call it.
you could almost call it a Bat Cave, just with less Alfred.
Quickly, right, before we move on, because I know there's not a lot of news to talk about.
This is the end of the news.
Yeah, I meant to ask you
Essentially.
before, because I wanted your opinion on it as far as the 2021 rules goes. Yeah, because it's looking now like they're not going to happen.
No.
Or if we do, it's going to be a massively watered down version of it. We kind of hoped that Liberty was going to be the knight in shining horse that came on, grabbed
Knight
Formula
in
One.
Shining Horse?
Yep.
Okay.
Just go with it.
Yeah,
that grabbed.
Bit pantomimey.
I'm
but
not
carry
quite on board, but keep going.
I think a night in the Shining Horse would get shouted at.
It's the pub that all the knights go to.
The Shining Horse.
Yes. Sir Lancelot. Anyway.
Copies of Lee's browser history will soon be available.
It's all right. It's not Sir Lancelot you need to worry about. It's Camelot.
You've broken him.
I'll
What
let
I'm
that one
thinking
drop.
is, we thought they were going to come in and sort of really grab Formula One by the scruff of the neck, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, they kind of did.
They sort of did, but as far as the rules go, I think they're softer than what Bernie and Max were. And I think if we were still in the Bernie and Max era and this sort of stuff was coming around, like when we used to have the breakaway threats every other minute.
You could set your calendar by then.
Yeah. I don't think we'd have had this shit.
It usually happened because they tried to set the calendar.
Yeah.
I don't think we'd have had this shit at all. And what Formula One needs now is it seems that they haven't got a figurehead.
Well, Ross is in charge, isn't he, of setting the rules, and he's got his own team of people trying to find
there's
loopholes.
no one person that seems to have the authority. It seems like everything's being done by committee and nobody can agree on anything.
Whereas before it was hard-nosed.
Before it was a
Bernie.
dictatorship and nobody could agree on everything because nobody could ever get Ferrari 100% on side.
Formula One Teams Association is the worst thing to happen to Formula One in the history of the sport.
No, I think Ferrari's veto is the worst thing to happen to Formula One
Yeah,
in the
that's not
history of the
great.
sport.
Okay, equal number one.
People who get paid more for being there longer appears to be a bugbear of a lot of other
It's ridiculous.
people.
that.
Like
It's
Williams and Ferrari getting bigger payments because they've been around longer.
Ferrari should not, if they have a bad year, end up still earning more money than the rest of the teams.
It should be performance-based, really.
Yeah, of course it
shouldn't
should be.
Yeah, it's prize money.
Yeah, I like what your professional American egg throwing does.
Salary cap.
Yeah, where they every team gets the same amount, isn't it? And then it's up to you what you do after that as far as sponsorship and stuff like that goes.
So you have to get your money from sponsorship and
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
It's kind of like the Aussie rules football as well. They don't pay them enough so that's their job. They still have to have a job as well as playing football.
Yeah.
But they quite often, a bit like John McGuinness, the motorcycle racer, not really a bricklayer from Morecambe because he hasn't laid a brick in that many years.
Yeah.
That's his job, but really he races motorcycles.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, what he gets paid to do is turn up to all these sponsors events and say, I'm a bricklayer from Morecambe.
Yeah, basically.
Well, Grosjean's a chef.
He might be doing a lot more chefing.
Not happy with Lewis Hamilton's vegan lifestyle, apparently.
Well, that's, yeah. Is that
It
news?
doesn't think it's compatible with being a top-level athlete.
I've just realised, do you think this has anything to do with the fact that he's got a cookbook and Lewis Hamilton's got his own chain of restaurants?
Well, he's only got one so far, but he's opening more.
Yeah,
That's a very short chain.
It's going to be a chain.
He's got a
though.
link.
But do you think there might be a slight
cash
bit of
point.
jealousy there in the food stakes?
Hamilton
think-
won't eat steaks.
We eat vegan steaks; they're delicious.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
He'd
What are they
probably,
made out of?
he'd
Mushrooms?
probably go for buffalo
Soy,
cauliflower.
I think soy and beetroot juice. That's what makes them
Buffalo
bleed.
cauliflower. I'd totally go that again.
All those hot sauce experiences going. We should have done this one on the Patreon. Dan, how are you feeling after Saturday night?
Yeah, fine.
What hot sauce did you have? I'm a big fan of hot sauces.
It was the official Jim Morrison hot sauce that
With
was
Jim
the slow
Morrison?
burner.
With ghost peppers.
Jim Morrison off the doors.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's called The End.
I don't think he has any knowledge of this sauce.
I can't imagine he signed his name to it.
It was the last thing he wrote was a recipe for hot sauce.
I am the Lizard King. Hot sauce, please. Yeah, Dan was sweating for about 20 minutes after he had it. It was a
Delicious-
slow burner.
Delicious
Yeah, well,
fruity
ghost
taste
peppers
with
are. Yeah.
a lingering aftertaste of fire.
Yeah. That sounds like ghost pepper. Yeah.
Yeah, we should have discussed that more on the Patreon.
We can do that next week.
We can.
And try some more of the hot sauce.
I want
for
to try.
next
I
week.
want to try some of that hot sauce before next week's Patreon.
Funnily enough, it was provided by Steve the accountant.
Then it's our hot sauce.
A percentage of it is our hot sauce. That may be deductible.
Is it time for a game?
It's
it
time
might
for. Is it not? Is it not? We're not going to
was
preview
gonna
the
say,
Mexican
isn't it-
Grand Prix. Really,
kind of.
preview.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
need
I
two
thought-
things. I thought we'd
Have we not
previewed
done
it.
that?
Mercedes are going to do well.
We
because
need,
of
we
the
need to
twisty
do some
bits.
guesses anyway,
I
don't
was
we?
going to say, well, there's a lot of blind guesswork to come yet. Let me
Ferrari are.
Watch, you haven't got your speakers turned up full
Yeah,
like
I
on
know,
some
I'm
sort of
watching-
rave website.
muted.
and watching us weirdly.
Every time Paul opens his laptop, he's like live streaming Creamfields.
I think one of the teams we expect to do well won't because of the altitude.
I don't know if Ferrari might.
I think you've been very cryptic.
I think Ferrari
it's like
are an
Mystic
unknown
Meg.
quantity.
Someone
If
in
I'm
red will be
vague enough, I'll be
celebrating
right.
too.
Oh, please, can we do a Mystic Meg side video? But it's just Lee.
Lee with a scarf over
No,
his
it's
head.
Lee, Paul's vape,
Hang on.
and Jensen instead of a ball.
Go, quick.
Be mystical.
I don't want whatever that's going to give me.
Death.
A luxurious cloud.
Look, it's cancer's cancer, no matter whether it smells of candy floss or not.
Now the lovely viewers can't see us because Paul's put a cloud in the middle of the microphones.
Shit, that was a heavy cloud. I thought my glasses had stayed up.
Strangely enough, turning up less on the camera than you think it would do.
No, that's all right. That's okay. But the I think Ferrari are an unknown quantity in somewhere like Mexico because their season has been turned around by this downforce element that they put on just behind the front wing. Singapore, it worked brilliantly for them. Russia and Japan, they've been really competitive. We knew they were going to be competitive at Spa and Monza anyway because of the straight line speed advantage that they've got. But I don't know if that element is going to be as useful in high altitude of Mexico City. Is it perhaps going to throw Ferrari back where they were, sort of kind of behind the Red Bulls, pre-summer break Ferrari?
I don't think so. I think Red Bull are going to struggle here because of the straights.
Do you think they'll struggle because of the straights?
Yeah.
Well, there's only one real straight, isn't there? But it is about a mile long.
But because you're forgetting as well that kink of the when you go past the twisty bit, yeah. The end of that S is flat as well. So you come out of like the S section, before you go onto the back straight.
Yeah, but there's a little back straight. It's kind of small.
Pretty long, mate. If you take that curve into it, the big curve into it, it's not a small straight.
Do you mean the main straight?
No, the back straight.
Because you've got turns 1, 2, and 3, and then a bit of a straight,
Yeah.
and then it's all twisty until you get to the baseball stadium, and then it's
No, because
straight
you got
again.
turns 1, 2, and 3. Then there's a little hairpins, another little straight.
Well,
Then there's that.
If you're looking at that, that's
yeah, I'm pointing at Paul's screen. Just doesn't really help. But yeah, turns 1, 2, and 3, and then a bit of a straight, and then after that, it's not really.
then you've got the
There's nothing really straight after that.
then you've got the two 90 degrees followed by the hairpin.
Yeah, but that.
But all of
Before that thing.
sector 2, yeah, it's twisty, but it's flat twisty.
Yeah, screw point and squirt.
Yeah,
Which I think will favour Mercedes because
you
that's
think?
where
It only
they've
gets
been
technical
stronger.
on the
But it's
on the right-hander.
it's medium speed corners that Mercedes are good at. It's corners that they're under load. There's no corners there that you'd be under load, for instance.
Most of sector 2 until it opens up in the next. I know you can't see this, Lee, but sector 1 is the straight, the wiggly bit, and the next straight. That's Ferrari territory.
Yeah,
That's-
but it's most of it's wiggly bit as far as the stuff goes.
And then
There's no.
the next wiggly bit, I think, is Red Bull Mercedes territory.
Not sure. Not
And
sure.
You've got it's just the one. Is it just no? It's 2 DRS zones between the
Where's the second one?
start finish line and turn 1, and then the other one.
Oh, the
coming
second one
out
is
of-
on that a second straight.
coming after turn 3 after the before it gets to the 290 degrees.
Who's won this? Have Mercedes won this every year since it started?
No, I don't think so. Danny Ricciardo won it once, didn't he?
Did-
in Red
did
Bull?
Ricciardo win one
I'm
of
not
them?
sure. Hamilton has definitely won the Mexican Grand
Yeah.
Prix.
Bottas has won it.
Yep. Here we go. Paul's just looking up Wikipedia
Let's
now.
have a
I think
look.
Vettel
Verstappen's won
was
it
close
for-
to winning it in the year he got cross about Charlie Whiting.
Yeah.
Verstappen's won it for the last 2 years. Hamilton in 2016 and Rosberg in 2015.
Interesting, right?
So
that-
Bottas
that-
hasn't won it.
That kind of blows me away then as far as the engine goes, because he had a Renault in it for 2 years when he was doing that.
A Tag Heuer.
A Tag watch. Yeah, he had a watch. Didn't even have an engine.
Yeah.
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 He was on time.
Do you think Red Bull's going to be strong this weekend? 'Cause
I think so.
But they haven't, even on the tracks where we think they were going to be strong, they haven't been as strong as we expect to see a Red Bull.
Yeah, and then weirdly, like a power circus like Austria, which is, quite power dependent, they were right on top. But again, Austria is quite high altitude, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, what does the altitude do to
Interesting.
the engines? Does it
Starves them of oxygen because they're
but
turbos.
Does it help the ones with less power, or
I think it
Help
does.
with
a bit of a
more
leveler,
power.
yeah.
It kind of helps the ones with less power and hinders the ones with the more power.
That's interesting.
so you'd think maybe that would play a bit towards Red Bull,
Yeah.
It's
and
just
maybe
the,
even McLaren.
it's just the downforce side of things is interesting because obviously you wouldn't have this this amount of downforce on this kind of circuit if it wasn't for the altitude. And it's a question of, right, how much have Ferrari improved? And that to me is the unknown quantity. Because, we knew they were going to be fast in Belgium and Italy. We didn't know that they were going to be fast on the aero-dependent circuits that came after. And this one, it's power, but it's a unique aero challenge with high downforce on a fast circuit.
Yeah.
Now, if Ferrari's increases in downforce and the saying engine power now, because apparently teams are complaining about, did Ferrari upgrade the engine during the summer break and did they find a loophole to be able to do it?
Oh, they've definitely found more engine power from somewhere because they're quicker than Mercedes now.
Well, they have been in a straight line since
No, but
early season.
But remarkably so.
Is that just because
Because
they've solved
Canada
the
was the
downforce
first-
problem? They've been able to reduce the amount of drag that they've got, and the downforce is lower on the car.
Maybe.
Canada
but,
was the first real power
but
circuit
hang
in
on
the
a
season,
second.
wasn't it? And that's where Vettel should have won the race.
Yeah, but you don't forget, Hamilton was still pushing Vettel around at that point. Hamilton was the quicker car at that there. That's why Vettel
Well, it's a
made his
quicker race
mistake.
car.
But let's think about this for a second, because you had now all of a sudden, when you've got a Ferrari on a straight and a Mercedes behind with DRS, it still can't get past.
No, it can't. No.
So there's something has changed.
I'd want to see it the other way around as well, though. I'd want to see Ferrari catching a Mercedes and seeing if it was able to get past.
Yeah.
I think they're
Very
very
interesting.
closely matched at the moment.
But that long first straight with DRS, that's going to probably play into Mercedes' hands.
Yeah.
So Valtteri Bottas holds the lap record looking at Paul's screen there.
Yes, 1:18.741, which he set last year.
And it's a 71 lap race. That's a long race.
It's a
Again,
long race.
what does the altitude and air pressure do to DRS? Does it make it less effective because you've got...
I think it's more effective because you have to run a high downforce setting to get any sort of air to push down.
Right.
So then when you open the flap, you've got no downforce.
Yeah.
So
And it's
I think it makes it a lot more effective.
it has been a slam dunk down that main straight. It's been heavy on DRS for
Yeah.
the years we've been there.
But of course, the problem is that once you get past that, it's going to be a nightmare to pass because even the twisty sections are fast, and it's going to have to be a banzai dive down the inside of a tight corner.
Yeah.
One of my predictions for the race is we are definitely going to see. I'm going for 3 nose changes at least,
Yeah.
just from dumbass overtaking attempts.
Maybe.
I'm not saying by who. Grosjean Leclerc.
You just chose the 2 whiniest drivers.
Yes.
Okay.
And all right, we'll throw Stroll in there as well.
Stroll's not whiny. He just doesn't know what's going on.
Exactly. Something's wrong with the car. What? I don't know. That's whiny to me.
Yeah,
how many
isn't it?
years? How many years have we got of Stroll?
At least 3 more.
Do you think 3 more?
Well, it's been signed up for 3 more years.
Oh, is that the contract he's got?
Yeah, well, both Stroll and Perez have been signed up for 3 years, haven't they?
I didn't hear that Stroll had.
No, I thought next year's the last year of his contract.
Yeah, because he signed a 2-year deal at the start of it.
This year.
At the start
I
of
don't
this year
think
or
he's
last
going
year for this
anywhere.
season. I think he's just going to be on a rolling contract as long as his dad. I think we talked about this last week. But yeah, it's that seat is his as long as his dad is in the big chair in the boardroom.
Well,
Yeah,
as long as
who
his dad
knows?
wants him in that seat.
Yeah.
Because if his dad says, hang on, I could be the owner of a championship winning team by moving my son out and putting someone faster in,
Yeah.
I think he'd do that.
I think he'd do it as well. Definitely.
No friends in business. So the saying goes.
I think
Yeah, but
there's
this
a-
isn't friends, this is family, isn't it?
I think there'd also be might be even be more chance of with it being his father and not just like a backer that's involved of him turn around and say, like, you're not up to this. You know, there might
Yeah.
be more honesty because it's his father. Because at the end of the day, if all of a sudden your son isn't actually cut out for Formula One, you know every time you send him out in a car, he is risking his life doing
Yeah.
what he's doing.
And don't forget, Lawrence Stroll doesn't own the team. Lawrence Stroll has a stake in the team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the consortium, wasn't
Yeah.
he, that bought the team.
No, man, I suppose there's nothing to stop him being bought out.
Yeah.
So where do we think Racing Point will end up on Sunday then? I'm going to say towards the back.
I've got a bad feeling.
Perez never
about
does
them.
particularly well in Mexico, does he?
No.
Was it? Remember the cheers in the baseball stadium when he overtook someone for 11th place?
I think you'll get points.
I think we'll see Perez in 10th,
Yeah.
and I don't think we'll see Stroll in Q2.
See the likes of sort of McLaren and Renault shaping themselves up a little bit more. Or sorry, Renault shaping themselves up a bit more, and McLaren just being generally better this year. It's always going to push teams like Force India. Damn it. Racing India Force One, back one.
Team Canada.
Yes.
Pays a point. I think they're gonna have a tough race.
Yeah.
I think Perez might rescue something for Sunday, but Saturday.
He's done it again.
Okay.
He's breathing too hard.
Yeah.
Saturday's going to be a write-off for him. Renault's going to be interesting. Which Renault are we going to see?
The bad one.
You think?
Yeah.
I think we'll see.
I think we
the
could
good
see
one.
the good one.
Yeah.
If
Danny's comfortable in the car.
They're not. Yeah, but
Hulk's
that's
fighting for a drive.
things are coming together a bit for them at the moment, potentially because of like
Cheating.
cheating. But
Well, they always find it difficult at circuits where you need a good balance.
That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting if they're shite again. Because if they're shite again, that means they've taken whatever they were doing with the cheating off.
Brake bias, brake balance, whatever it was.
It was brake bias that was controlled by the length of the circuit.
Yeah.
And it wasn't being set by the driver on the wheel, which is why the wheel and the control electronics got confiscated.
Yeah.
Was it like it's essentially active suspension for brake bias? That's the way I
It
looked
was
at
it was active brake bias.
Yeah.
Basically, what Racing Point have alleged in their 12-page document.
Wow, 12 pages.
12 pages of evidence. From what I understand,
we're really, 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 really short.
It's
really,
okay,
really,
though.
really.
It's 12 pages, but it's not as big as you think because Lawrence Stroll only writes things on the back of $50 bills.
yeah, but
In
I'm-
Comic Sans.
yeah, but how much is a Canadian $50 bill worth? It's about 8p. One whole strawpenny. Apparently they've submitted 12 pages of evidence about why Renault were cheating. What they're alleging is that it was a computer on board controlled brake bias system because the driver can alter the brake bias in the car from front to back on the steering wheel, which that's in the rules.
Yeah.
But they'd automated the system to change the brake bias depending on whereabouts on the circuit they were. So it was effectively active. And anything active that the driver doesn't control that affects the performance of the car, if there isn't a dial for it on the steering wheel, that's banned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what Racing Point are saying, and there's nothing come out to say how long they've been using it for. But you've got to imagine that if they've gathered that much evidence, it's not going to be things that they just found in Japan.
No.
This is going to be stuff that's been going on for a bit.
Yeah.
And as I say, Renault struggle in circuits where you need a good balance between, downforce and straight line speed. So I think they'll struggle in Mexico.
Maybe. I mean, I think it depends. I think if what they've been doing to get themselves back involved is all above board and legal and they're not cheating, I think we'll see the progression carry on. But if that's true, I think that's when we'll see them fall back.
McLaren have traditionally struggled since the return of the Mexican Grand Prix. They've usually been,
but they've had a fucking whore of a car, haven't they?
Yeah, but even
this is a different McLaren, isn't it? This year?
Even was it last year or 2 years ago when McLaren were looking like they were just starting to improve? They were right at the back again as soon as they came to Mexico. So
it's not just like a different McLaren. They're like even the like Carlos Sainz is rejuvenated now as well.
We're looking for we're looking at a fourth place McLaren here, aren't we? Which, Jesus Christ, any McLaren fan would have snapped your hand off at the beginning of the year.
I mean, that's that jump in form and that amount of pace that we've found. That's like Force India become championship contenders over the course of the summer from last year.
Yeah,
you know, it's crazy.
But although it does feel a bit more like McLaren have made a slight improvement, and everyone else in the midfield has gone, I've forgotten how to build a car.
No, there's a chart somewhere with the average improvements over from last season to this season.
Yeah.
1 second a lap, over 1 second a lap. McLaren are by far the most improved car.
I mean, he said
from last
they had a
season.
bad one last year. Stoffel actually finished 8th, and not
Well
that
done,
shenanigans. Alonso only lasted 3 laps.
I think he qualified well too, didn't he? Because he was ahead of Stoffel in
I think
qualifying. Of course he was.
2 years ago,
yeah.
for definite, they had a terrible one. But
Yeah, Alonso qualified 12th and Stoffel 17th. Although, of course, grid shenanigans with penalties for engines and Grosjean getting a 3-place penalty for causing a collision in the previous round. God, where have we heard that before?
Oh yeah, crazy.
is this the last race that Vettel's got to watch himself as well?
No, he has to watch himself in Austin because that is a day before his points come off.
Right.
Because it's not races, it's one calendar year.
Yeah.
Right.
And the race is a day earlier than the Mexican Grand Prix last year where he got the points.
That's interesting.
Just because of the way the calendar works.
God, that'd be drama, wouldn't it? He gets banned from a race because of
Well,
a day.
he will do. If he goes over 12 points, he
Yeah.
will get banned for a race. That's the rules.
I mean, he's back on 9 at the moment, so
Who would Ferrari get in to replace him?
How many races?
Brendan Hartley.
How many races left after Austin?
two.
Two.
Brazil and
Call it now. If that was to happen in Austin and he gets his 12 points and he has to miss a race, he just fucks Formula One off. No Abu Dhabi. See you later, lads.
Just Prost's
Had it. Yeah.
Yeah, car's a shed. I'm off.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Bold prediction.
So,
Talking of predictions, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right.
it would seem a waste of that segue.
It would. Right. Sean has gone for a Verstappen win, Hamilton second, and Bottas third. I have our guest predictor this week, which is Nick Stovey Photography. On Twitter, he's, well, if you Manx, F. Juan. Spell F.
F1.
E-triple-F-J-U-A-N. How would you say it round here?
Jewin.
F.
F. Juan. He's gone for a Verstappen win, Leclerc second, Bottas third, with Rockstar of the Weekend being Max and Wanker of the Weekend being Grosjean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Rockstars and
Wankers.
Wankers is a good one. I like this.
By the way, just the McLaren, Schmidt, Peterson, Arrow, McLaren Indy Sport Car Racing Team poll that we're running on Twitter at the moment.
McLaren Indy.
With 20 minutes left, 70 votes in, 73% McIndy.
Oh, you guys are terrible.
Yes.
27%
You
McLaren
guys are my
IndyCar.
people.
You have done it.
I want a second referendum.
We'll have a second referendum if it's within 2 points.
I want a people's vote.
The people have voted. You lost. Deal with it.
Doesn't
Hang
matter.
on.
Come on, people. Like, with 20 minutes ago, did you say 20 minutes ago?
Yeah.
With 20 minutes ago, do you really want us to be calling it McIndy for the rest of the...
In fact, the amount of things he just called
McLaren
then,
IndyCar.
the amount of things what he just called McLaren then, the initial referendum was done without all the information given.
We
know more now.
I did mention all the words. I have all the words. I have all the best words. I used them.
You know the words more than anyone else. Nobody knows more about words than you do.
That sounds like a great song lyric.
Nobody knows more about words than you do.
Didn't Extreme do that? Oh no, that was more than words.
Yeah.
Right.
Northern words.
Oh, kid.
Yeah.
Gives the predictions, then, lad.
Verstappen win.
Yep.
Bottas second.
Yep.
Hamilton third.
Okay, who's going next?
I'll go
Versta-
next. Oh, sorry, no. No, go.
Verstappen win.
Yep.
Leclerc second.
Yeah.
Sainz third.
Oh. Go on, Lee.
I forgot how weird these things tasted. God, they really clag your mouth up as well, don't they?
But they're very sweet. Sorry.
I've made a real mistake here.
Do you want me to go while you're trying
No,
to
it's fine,
survive
I've
that
got it.
biscuit?
For any listeners who want to know what Lee's got in his mouth,
Look at YouTube. Not necessarily our channel, just look at YouTube.
Sebastian Vettel
Also,
win.
Pretend you're Hannibal with these as well.
Lewis Hamilton second. Valtteri Bottas third.
And I'm going to go for a Vettel win, Hamilton second, but Leclerc third. Right, if you want to...
Oh, hang on. We haven't done Rockstars and Wankers.
Oh, yeah, we haven't done Rockstars and Wankers for the weekend. I mean, Grosjean being wanker, that's a bit predictable, but it's probably going to happen.
Mexico. Because it'll be a shit Grand Prix.
Well, Mexican fans are going to be rock stars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the actual Grand Prix is just going to be a boring procession.
I'm going to say
a boring procession where a bunch of people have to change the noses of the car.
Maybe.
I'm going to interject with Robert Kubica being the wanker.
Because he's like 4 laps down, but it's completely not his fault.
No, he's just going to be 4 laps down.
Whatever the wanker could be, whatever DJ is being roped in to play a gig that nobody wants them to play again.
Like the guy who tried to get Kimi Räikkönen super pumped when
Yeah.
the DJ booth turned around.
Maybe,
He's just like,
maybe they're going to change it round this year and they're not going to have a DJ on the podium. They'll have some rock stars instead.
DJs are rock stars, aren't they?
not really, they're DJs.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Who else has got potential? I reckon we'll get Whingy Hamilton about pit strategies again. Because
He'll want to win the championship, but won't be able to.
yeah. I think Mercedes are just prosting it for the rest of the season. They are going to do just what needs to be done to get Lewis the title. He's going to want to win the title by winning every race. And because that's his mindset at the moment, which is different to previous years. He wants to go all out and win. They're going to strategize it so he does enough, but not necessarily finishing first, and he's going to kick off about that. And I think we'll see a Whingy performance.
I think
from him
that's
this weekend.
the only reason they do that is if there was both of them. I don't see that. I think the only reason they did that in the last race was because they owed Bottas one.
And they could tie things up and be
they're
sensible.
still going to go win races.
I think, yeah, Mercedes are just going to let them race now.
Yeah.
They're not going to strategize one into a win over the other.
I'd argue if they've got the chance to make Lewis champion this race, they'd do it more so to get it over and done with, so it's in the bag.
Yeah.
What was it? Who do I think could be wanker? More crying from Leclerc. More Leclerc tears. More whoever's behind him on Inters.
Behind him on Inters.
Yeah. One car.
Many cheers.
One car in the field has to be on Inters at all times because he's behind Leclerc.
You've really gone off him, haven't you?
Oh, aye.
And for the benefit of the listeners, that's Lee who doesn't like Leclerc.
And
Really, Dan? Are you sure?
Well, I am
Dan,
sure.
Dan, what are your opinions on Leclerc?
Quite neutral.
well, it's ever since I realised that Sebastian Vettel is the greatest driver that's ever driven in a Formula One car and is worth 10 Ayrton Sennas.
You know,
£100.
we're doing this on video and people can actually see your nose growing.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
That's just the wide angle lens.
All right. Turned in the wrong direction. Shall we shunt it?
Let's do it.
Oh,
People
no,
are going to play on the video as well, aren't they? Which is going to be fun. But then they've got access to the Google, and we don't.
And as you probably noticed, we're not looking at the YouTube comments. So
We're not allowed.
I must say, now that we're here and I can bring this up, I do need to bring one of the comments that I caught in the corner of my eye on that screen up because it really does need sorted out. That bottle is not Poppers. It's not Poppers at all.
That is my vape.
Vape.
We
liquid.
warm up for podcasts in very different ways.
That's not a bottle of
Never
Poppers.
involves Poppers.
No.
This one was sent in by Ryan Jones.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
Did you
Lord.
choose it because you could say his name?
Yes, Lord Ryan Jones, if you believe his Twitter profile. I don't. I was born.
Yeah.
This is the correct way to start.
Yeah, he's gone fucking double down on it.
He's doubled down.
Yeah.
So we're
On
looking
the 28th of June, 1971.
That's the date of birth.
It is. That is
That is
a
going for
full date of birth.
I thought when you said he doubled down on the criteria for question one, you were going to say he was born twice.
If this thing or person has a passport, you now know part of it. I came back in 2008.
I came back in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hang on. So you would have come back aged 37.
Or 36, if it was before the 28th of June.
Yes.
I joined one of the biggest teams in sports.
In 2008, was it announced that... Oh, no, it was in 2009, wasn't it? Because the whole Braun thing. I was going to say in 2008, was it Schumacher announcing he would be back in 2010? But that wasn't announced until after Mercedes had done the Braun deal.
Yeah.
And that was winter 2009, 2010. So that doesn't add up. And also...
Because Schumacher wanted to come back to replace Massa, but that was 2009.
And he didn't.
And he didn't because of his shoulder injury.
From motorcycle accident.
Yes.
If I remember rightly.
I want to guess.
Do want to guess. It's not Michael Schumacher.
I think we're looking at somebody technical or mechanic-y who had a little bit of time away and then came back.
Or even a sponsor.
Oh.
Because that biggest team in sports line, it doesn't
Marlboro.
sound Formula One-y, does it?
No, I mean, right, who are the biggest teams in sports? Sadly, Man United.
He joined one of the biggest teams in sports. Massive team. One of the best teams. Nobody knows more about sports teams than him.
What was Trump's team in the USFL called? It was a New York team, but they weren't the biggest team. But they could have been.
The New York Giants.
The New York even bigger Giants. So the biggest team in sports, it's going to be something like Man United, Barcelona.
Harlem Globetrotters, they're pretty big.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I almost hate to say it, New England Patriots. They're an American football team that I hate, and I don't care if
I know they're
for
American
that.
football team. I work the rest out of my head.
So it's might be something on that, but coming back.
Came back in 2008.
Something that was banned.
Oh,
Like cigarette advertising or
but Ferrari have never stopped being sponsored by a Philip Morris company.
Or slick tyres.
I'd like to tell you something that hasn't been banned. It's giving guesses.
Slick tyres, good call.
that'll go. Guess.
Yeah,
You're going to go slick tyres?
But I don't think slick tyres were born on the 21st of June 1971.
they might have been the first time that
28th of June.
that might have been the first time that they were used because there might have been sort of minor treaded or grooved or cut tyres.
Are we going with slick tyres?
We'll,
Yeah,
go,
go on
we'll
then.
go with slick tyres.
It's a really bad idea.
Slick tyres. First guess.
Slick tyres.
Right. During my career, I signed advertising deals with
Not slick tyres.
McDonald's and Adidas. or Adidas?
No, it's Adidas because it was named after the founder.
Adi Dassler.
Adolf Adi Dassler.
Or Not Quite Burger King?
No, that's the fake fancy dress costume version.
Don't forget to vote McLaren Indy with a few minutes to
McBurger
go,
Royal.
because I'm not calling them McIndy for all of next year.
No, I'm going to call them McLaren, mate. We in solidarity, we'll do it.
McSolidarity.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the union, isn't it, for the burger staff? Yeah.
It's a
Next,
Scottish
next
dance
clue.
band.
next clue.
I am a racing motorsport series champion. Nebulous clue. I'm going to admit it.
I remember we were looking at Roman Grosjean's career, and he's won championships.
No, he cooked some championships.
That was it. Yeah, next clue before we have to make another completely wild stab in the dark.
I have been awarded the Legion of Honor with its full name,
Legion
the
d'Honneur.
National Order of the Legion of Honor.
Surely,
Sounds like a fucking Avenger.
surely it'd be Ordre National de Légion d'Honneur.
I think it should be Legion d'Honneur, shouldn't it? I think.
Well, maybe wrote it in English to help the moron that reads it.
Thank you, Ryan Jones,
Yes.
and your amazing,
And your
amazingly anglicized name.
Yes. And you're
So
amazingly
this is from
anglicised.
Rian Jones. Right, okay, so
This is where I have another look. His name's all one word and there's 3 umlauts in it.
I've got 3 albums by then. Right, so we're looking at somebody that they like in France.
Yeah.
Born in 1971 and made a comeback in 2008.
8.
And related to motorsports somehow.
Signing deals with Adidas and McDonald's. What?
I mean, the only
Olivier Panis?
the only cars I've seen with McDonald's on have been in American series. Because there's been
No, Sebastian Bourdais used to be sponsored by McDonald's. Although I think that might be when he was in
when he was
IndyCar.
in IndyCar.
Yeah,
And you
good point.
see McDonald's on NASCAR as well, but usually upside down and on fire.
Golden umbrellas.
Flame grilled.
Yeah, the golden ewes.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'd like a guess,
Oh,
please.
right,
Jack.
So would we.
Yeah. Chance would be a fine thing.
I'm stuck on this one.
I'm going to say Olivier Panis because he has won ice racing championships post Formula One.
I was genuinely thought for a split second you're going to say ice skating championships.
Ice
it was going to
racing.
make my fucking day.
That's right, yeah. 1996 Monaco Grand Prix winner Olivier Panis is now a figure skater.
Yes.
No, he's not.
Who can forget the famous duo Torval and Panis?
Panis and Dean. Sounds like a pasty.
Blades de Glory. Watch the dodgy downloaded version of Blades of Glory, and the only thing I took from it, because it had hard-coded Swedish subtitles on, is Swedish for chewing gum is condom.
Amazing.
This is just desperate stalling while we try and think
on.
of something else, but...
I want to say Olivier Panis.
And I want you to say Olivier Panis.
Olivier Panis.
Amazing. I have competed in 3 Le Mans. I don't know why I pronounce it so weirdly. You know what I mean? Le Mans.
Le Mans.
Because we know how well already from this shunt how great your French pronunciation
And I
is.
just absolutely anchormanned it then because I read what was on the auto cue, how I saw it.
I'm Rob Burgundy. All right, okay.
Right, okay, next clue.
Is this the final clue?
No, you got 2 more after this
I
one.
think this is only number 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have competed for 7 teams in my previous sport.
I don't know what your previous sport was. If we don't know what your current one is.
Right, so it's going to be somebody who switched sports to motor racing a la Chris Hoy.
I'll help here. I believe, I might be wrong, I believe his previous sport was not motor racing.
like Paul said, then someone like Chris Hoy. Chris Hoy about the right age? A little bit old for Chris Hoy, isn't he?
No, I think Chris Hoy's actually round about that age.
Is he? He would have been about 40 when he was winning gold medals at the Olympics.
This guy would
In
have
that case, it
probably
might be too young.
stayed dry.
Like cyclists.
Was Chris Hoy not a rower?
No, you're thinking of Steve Redgrave.
Right, it's not Chris Hoy. Carry on.
Yeah, we know that Steve Redgrave isn't Chris Hoy.
Yeah.
Next clue?
For both of my sports, I predominantly used my hands.
Now, I'd be tempted
Diego
to go
Maradona.
Zanardi.
Yeah.
But his motor racing career was first.
And
Yeah.
then third.
Come on, people. Am I not the only person that finds Dan going straight to Zanardi hilarious?
Well, he does use his hands.
I know
He
it
has
does.
to.
I know. It's just, it tickles me because things that are nasty generally do.
Was the clue about Le Mans, I've won 3 Le Mans, or
I've competed in.
That's Zanardi.
Zanardi's done more than 3, hasn't he?
Well, bits of them have,
All of Alex Zanardi has done Le Mans.
but bits of them haven't.
Terrible, terrible man.
I like the fact that it's terrible me saying things like this about Zanardi because he's done really well and he's a very, very inspirational person. He's never quite had the same response for Kubica jokes.
All of Kubica is still there. It's just very
No,
shriveled.
definitely not. He's lost bits there, like.
He's still got all the digits.
No, he's got an arm like a twiglet.
Yeah, but he's got muscle wastage more than anything.
Maybe. Not sure. Something that looks like it should be slapped onto the side of a raptor in a museum should not be on a human body.
Thanks for that, Lee. I have no response.
We need a Jacques button on the live feed.
I was thinking the same, but it's way too late. People have now seen that.
I'm free! Free!
This is why we don't do the live feeds very often.
Free!
Oh boy.
Coming back to
Coming back to where we were, can we have the last clue, please?
Yes, of course you can, darling. What I was nicknamed, this is French, Le Divin. He's got it in English. I'm going to tell you in English.
Do that, yeah.
The diving bald one.
Oh, goalkeeper.
Fabien Barthez.
Fabian Barthez.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because, he's done Le Mans quite a lot. He's got a team in GTM. His first sport, he would have used his hands because he played in goal for France, won the World Cup. Laurent Blanc used to kiss his head before every game in the 98 World Cup before they played, and even before the final when Blanc was suspended. I think it is. And he was a bold goalkeeper, so he dived a lot.
Yeah, he was... and he moved into motorsports, as you say. So, Fabien Barthez.
Yeah, same Barthez.
I'm Fabien Barthez.
Yeah.
Well done, Paul.
Did that with that? Look, the laptop was shut.
The biggest team in sports would have been Manchester United as well, because he signed for them after the World Cup.
He did. Right, how do you send in a total shunt?
You can tweet me at a total shunt, or you can send me an Instagram message, wherever we call those.
I think it's called a message.
Right. If you send me a message on Instagram, I'm a total shunt on that as well.
And you can also email ones for weeks when Lee's not about to 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
Yep.
Which Lee is now going to dissociate himself from that email account so that he doesn't see the total shunts that come in.
But if he's not about, then it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It's been a long day. It's been a long evening setting this thing up. You can tweet us on the show at 3legs4wheels, or individually we are
At Flood21.
At Dan Dankleton.
at Pablo100, and Sean is at Sean Cowper. And of course, we're on Facebook at 3legs4wheels, and the same on Instagram as well. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's the Patreon show, which I'm guessing most people that are watching this subscribe to, because they're the only ones mad enough to sit and watch us sit around a table and talk.
Yeah, we've still got 34 of them.
they have lasted well.
Yes, they have.
Thank you to everyone that's been watching on YouTube, and thank you to everyone for listening. We will be back next week where we'll be reviewing the Mexican Grand Prix and previewing Circuit of the Americas as well.
Yep.
One of my favourite races of the season, usually.
It's usually a good one.
Yeah.
Just no badly animated eagles this year, please.
No, please not. And the weird noises.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.